We all knew that the Miami Heat were bound to make a move at the trade deadline. I mean, this was a team who has been in rumors for making a move all year for big and small names. Whether it was a rumor for a superstar like Harden or smaller names like PJ Tucker, the Miami Heat were honestly in the center of it all ever since their shocking finals run last year. And one of the bigger names that the Heat were involved with was for the Rockets guard Victor Oladipo, and today, right before the deadline, they got the deal done that sent him to the beach to ball out with Jimmy Butler and the Heat. And today, we will be discussing exactly how the Heat finessed the Rockets in this crazy trade, as well as how this will impact the Heat team and what moves they should make after the deadline to complete their roster for a championship run this year and in the next few. But before we get into today's video, let me just say, if you end up enjoying the content, it would be absolutely clutch if you hit that like button below and subscribed if you're new, because it really does help the channel out in big ways. We are out here posting a banger video every other day at 5 p.m. Central, as well as bonus ones like this one, and I can guarantee you will not want to miss any of my videos if you enjoy this one. But with that being said, let's just get right into this Heat team and the moves they just made that will have a monumental impact for this team's future and this year. If you guys didn't know already, the Miami Heat were able to snag Victor Oladipo in exchange for Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a pick swap. Yeah, that's literally it. I've been keeping an eye on the trades that have been going down all day, but this one truly shocked me because I believe that the Miami Heat executed this trade perfectly, and the Rockets, on the other hand, well, not so much. I'm gonna be real, the actual reason why I believe the Miami Heat had to give up basically nothing for Oladipo isn't because of their bargaining skills or anything like that. In my eyes, even though there were teams interested in Oladipo at the deadline, he's on an expiring deal, which means he could literally walk from whatever team he lands on after this season, and the team that traded for him would have given up their assets for a few months of use. Now, did this make sense for some teams in the rumors who are legit contenders? Sure, but at this point, Victor Oladipo has made it clear that he will more than likely be taking his talents to the Miami Heat after the season is over, which, to say the least, caused many teams to lose interest. Well, except for the team that he wanted to go to in the first place in the Heat. I don't know if you guys noticed, but this trade went down right before the deadline for trades in the NBA, which has led me to believe that the Rockets have been making calls all day to teams like the Warriors who displayed interest in Oladipo, but no one wanted to make an offer. So at the last second, they decided to take at least the Heat's lowball offer because it was more than likely the only offer they got. And that way, they wouldn't lose Oladipo in free agency for absolutely nothing. Now, I know what you're thinking here. Didn't the Heat basically lose Oladipo for nothing in this trade because all they got back was Bradley and Olynyk? In a sense, yes, but guys like these are assets, and they are both on expiring deals, which clears the books for the Rockets this offseason, which could definitely give them some flexibility to make a trade this summer or re-sign these guys if they value them. With that being said though, this whole situation clearly just shows how much Oladipo wants to play in Miami, because there weren't any other teams that wanted to put together a package better than the Heat's below average one to snag Oladipo and try to change his mind throughout the rest of the season. But enough about the what ifs that could have happened today. The fact is, Oladipo is now a member of the Miami Heat, and to say the least, his impact for this team will be huge, and the team's impact on him will be even bigger. At the time I'm making this video, the Miami Heat are currently sitting at the 5th seed in the East and are right behind the Hornets by 1 game, so it's safe to say that they will take the 4th seed, especially with this addition of Oladipo. It's hard to say how high in the standings this Heat team can go, but I believe they could make a case to getting in the top 3 seed. Don't get me wrong here, is it super likely that the Heat will catch up to the Sixers, Bucks, and Nets? Not really, but some of these teams are suffering injuries, so it's definitely reasonable to say that it could happen. Regardless of the Heat seed though, at this point, even before the Oladipo trade, they were a clear playoff team. I know the standings are close this year, but let me just say that this team has had to face a lot of adversity this year, and coming off of their finals run. Injuries, virus protocol, you name it, this team has had to battle it this season. I just made a video on why I believe the Heat will make a deep playoffs run this year, which I will link above, but this past month we have seen this team is still capable of being one of the best in the league, and the addition of Victor Oladipo makes their case even better. Oladipo is an amazing player with lots of potential, but what makes this trade even better is the fact that the Heat didn't have to give away any of their young assets in Hero, Duncan, Nunn, or Precious Achiuwa, which means that this team is basically running it back with even more talent. What Victor Oladipo brings to this Miami Heat team is huge, and even that might be an understatement. Oladipo is exactly what this team needed in every way, and honestly, I think that he is one of the best players to pair up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo in the whole league. With the new 3-headed monster in Miami, the team's defense will take a big step up, and that's saying something, being that the Heat were already one of the best defending teams in the league. Victor Oladipo will have the ability to guard the best point guard on opposing teams, which, aside from their power forward issue that we will get into in a bit, is the other issue that this team needed to fix. Iggy and Avery Bradley were solid defenders, but they are both way too old to be guarding someone like James Harden or Kyrie Irving for a whole playoff series this year. And you guys already know that Tyler Hero and especially Duncan Robinson are not capable of guarding anyone like that and even containing them a bit. What makes Oladipo's fit even better is that he's someone that the Heat can heavily rely on the offensive side of the ball as well. especially in crunch time. If you guys watched the Miami Heat's playoffs run last year at all, you know that Jimmy Buckets was absolutely amazing for this team in crunch time, but there were times where he just couldn't get the job done or he was about to collapse because he was so exhausted. Don't take that as shade at Jimmy, because he is one of my favorite players in today's league, but when you're trying to compete with teams like the Heat did last year, especially the Lakers, you need someone that the Heat can fall back on if Jimmy for some reason can't deliver, and Victor Oladipo is that guy to say the least. We've seen how clutch Oladipo can be in crunch time on both sides of the ball, and that's something that the Heat will definitely take advantage of, because now in crunch time, the Miami Heat will have someone at every level of the court that their opponents need to worry about. With Oladipo and Jimmy who can score from anywhere on the court, Adebayo who can get buckets from inside the arc, and shooters like Duncan Robinson and even Hero, this team will be set up to close out games, because now teams will not be able to double team Jimmy like they did last year, because they will have to worry about Depot and everyone else on the court as well. So Oladipo is the perfect fit for the Heat team, and they got him for basically nothing. So what's the catch? Well, even though I believe this was 100% the move the Heat should have made, especially because of the package, Victor Oladipo hasn't exactly been the most efficient player, let alone for guards this year. Oladipo's stats look good on paper, averaging 21 points, 5 assists, and 5 boards, but when you look into the advanced stats, that's where the issue that Oladipo needs to fix before the Heat's playoff run this year. Oladipo is averaging over 2 turnovers a game with the Rockets and could definitely get his shooting splits up, being that he's only shooting 30% from 3 and 40% overall. But I don't think this is anything to worry about now. I mean, Oladipo has had a wild ride this year being thrown in a new team, and I think when he gets the time to mesh with this Heat system, he will improve these numbers a lot. If he could just get these numbers up, to say the least, this Heat team would be absolutely dangerous in the playoffs and have the potential to make it to the finals again. Yeah, I said it. I know, the Nets will be a hard task to overcome, but if anyone in the East can do it, I believe this Heat team can, because they are straight up dogs and can will themselves to beat any team in the league. Now, even though the Victor Oladipo finesse trade was the main thing I wanted to discuss in today's video, I don't think this is where the Heat's moves to improve their roster ends, because I believe they're about to make another move that will complete their roster and make them legit contenders if they aren't already. Even though the trade market is now closed until after the season is over, there are still potential buyouts or even free agents that could be signed, and Woj just tweeted something that I discussed in my last Heat video that is very good news for this Heat team, to say the least. That being that they will more than likely sign LaMarcus Aldridge to a deal, because he is getting bought out by the San Antonio Spurs very soon. I know, this move isn't as big as Oladipo, but the impact for the team could be huge. Many people, including myself, have been saying that the Heat need to make a move for a power forward, because even though Kelly Olynyk is good, he just isn't capable of being the 4 for a championship contender. In my eyes, I thought that the Heat should have either moved Bam to the 4 and got a center, or acquired a power forward, and it's looking like this is exactly what they will do. The Heat will more than likely snag Aldridge, but if they don't, they could make a move for Andre Drummond, which would be very interesting. If the Heat are able to snag Aldridge though, it would give them even better depth than they had last year, and if Oladipo takes a leap with this team, the star power they need as well. If the Heat decide to start Aldridge, their starting lineup would consist of him, Bam, Jimmy, Oladipo, and Dragic, with Hero, Robinson, and Nunn coming off the bench. Just try and tell me that that team doesn't have the potential to win it all, because they do. With all that being said, now is the time for Heat fans to be excited. Pat Riley proved once again that he is one of the best presidents of basketball associations in the league, and this team has everything they need to make a championship run again and try and win it all. To say the least, the rest of the Heat season will be very interesting, and I cannot wait to see what kind of damage they do in the playoffs. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, I would highly recommend liking this video, as well as subscribing if you're new and joining the Woods crew, because let me just say, we have so many banger videos coming out this week, you will not want to miss a single one of them. But regardless, I really appreciate all you guys still watching. Catch y'all on the next one. Woods out.